and welcome back to Music Theory Tips and Tricks. So let's do some nice, easy, relaxing analysis today. Let's not do some craziness. I know I'm tired. I'm guessing that you're tired. So let's just be nice and relaxed. And I forgot to bring in my lights. I will bring in my lights. I'll write it down on my sticky notes. Switching over to this beret, we're just going to look at the up until the first repeat. So nice, easy, typical, relaxing 8 bars that we can look at. We can see from the key signature, our assumption, of course, is that we would be in the key of G because we automatically tend to jump to the major key. Nothing wrong with that. The only thing is you have to make sure that once you have an assumption that you allow yourself to find information that might prove it wrong. So as I'm looking through this, the fact that I see all the D sharps is immediately going to make me think I'm not actually in G major. I am in E minor. So I'm going to run with that assumption. I'm not going to look through the entire thing to check and see if I'm right. I'm going to kind of just assume that I'm right until when and if I meet something that's like, okay, you know what? This just doesn't make sense in E minor. We have to switch over to looking at it in a different key. But we will address those situations as they arise. Okay, moving on, here we go. So we are in E minor, this we know. If you really want to give the pickup a Roman numeral symbol, it would feel like 5, but a very momentary 5. So that's kind of a push and pull depending on what your professor's asking of you, how deep of an analysis you're going into, yada, 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 yada. I'll just be good and call it 5, which then goes to an E, G. So that is a 1 chord. Now, when we're landing on these F sharps so soon, it might feel like that is a suspension, but F sharp, A, C, E, which is what the F sharp and the E together would be implying, would also be a 7/7 chord.
Yeah, hello, hi, Dr. Bush here. So it took all through Thanksgiving break of editing this video. That should be a 2 half diminished 2 because we're in E minor. We're not in G major. And I was still apparently looking at that F sharp and thinking G major, so that's not 7. Okay, back to your back to our regularly scheduled analysis. Sorry for the interruption.
Let's go to the piano and hear whether or not it actually feels like 7 or if it feels like 1 with a unkind and intrusive passing tone. Piano time. Welcome to the view of the office, or my office. This is my office, right? This is what it sounds like when we get here. I'm not going to give you the key center so that we can really get a sense of what it actually sounds like. By the way, I apologize in advance for the audio quality. Got to figure out a better way to do this. So obviously that's just up until that B. But let's focus in again on that very first measure, see if it actually feels like that is more than just a 1. I'm starting to think it actually is. Not to mention the fact since it goes to that F sharp and then resolves to a 1/6 exactly like it should. Okay. Back to the desk. Okay, going back to our analysis. I do think that when we get to that F sharp, that is actually 7 fully diminished 2 or 4/2, depending on how your college theory book, whatever you're using, does. I was taught 2 just because I think it's easier to remember the inversions of the 7th chords as they descend in number. 5/7, root, 6/5 first, 4/3 second, 2 third inversion. So 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Makes it really easy to remember the inversions of the 7th chords. And then that goes to that 7, fully diminished 7 in root position. We only have 1 pitch, but that's what's implied with having that F sharp motion in the bass there. And I didn't really get a strong enough sense of any kind of B because there's no B in the chord. We did have that B in the opening as a pickup, but it doesn't feel like a 5 when we get there. To me, it feels like a 7/7. Of course, that is going to just continue and resolve to 1/6 here. This is part of the chord, so depending again on how you would feel about it, I think the G being in the bass would be a strong enough sense to keep that E in the upper voice in our ears. But let's check it. Be right back. I'll get a dual camera system set up eventually, you know, with all my free time. That still feels like 1 to me. Based on the previous measure, it should feel like something else, but it doesn't. It feels like 1. Just because that motion of going obviously from do to sol is so typical. So we're just going to say that this is a 1/6 going all the way through until we get to that A and C, which I think we can all agree, especially since it goes to a 5 directly after that, is a minor 4. That then goes to a 5. The 5 is not the problem. That's the problem. Because obviously this is a 5. If we only have a B and we're in E minor, that's an implied 5. Just no brainer there. However, the fact that it goes down to an A, you know, that would sound like a passing tone. Nope, I think we're okay. Actually, in my opinion, this is, Some of my students are going to get mad at me, and I know exactly who you are. The only reason it wouldn't feel like it is because it's missing the root, but that's a cadential 6/4. That's definitely what that is. Because we have that G resolving down to an F sharp, it would feel like a cadential 6/4, especially since when we get here, we have the arpeggiated 6/4. Remember, if you are ever stuck in an analysis, jump forward to the thing that you recognize. Jump forward to those anchor points. For music to feel like it's tonal, it's got to be in a key. It might be in a constantly shifting key, but for honest to God, tonal music, where, not like late Debussy, where we're hovering around a key and it doesn't follow tonal conventions. In the common practice area, you're going to follow tonal conventions enough that it's still recognized as being part of the common practice area. That's why we call it that. So I'm going to say this is a CAD 6/4 to 5/3 before it resolves to a 1. I'm assuming because of the nature of the piece, a beret is obviously a Baroque piece, and so that's, well, not obviously, but most typically you'd find a beret as being one of the Baroque dances. We go back to a exact same device at the beginning. So a 1 to a 7 fully diminished 2 to a 7 fully diminished 7 to this being the passing tone, which I didn't label up there. Bad, professor. We go to the 1/6, which continues before we go to the 4, before we go to the, my God, it looks familiar, doesn't it? Remember what I said about this being a relaxing analysis? Isn't it relaxing? It's like you're laying on a beach, analyzing a beret. And yes, I've done that. Don't judge. Okay. And then GB, we have that CAD 6/4 again to 5/3. There's no presence of an A. The A over here, I don't think that would resonate enough to feel like that, but that's another kind of a judgment call. But again, this is easy enough to play at the piano. Feel free to sit down at a piano and play it. I'll play it at the end of this video just because otherwise that's kind of mean and rude, and I don't want to be those things. Okay, before we go to the exact same thing before, the only thing that's different in the first phrase is the what's going on up here. Go figure. Okay, and this is obviously going to be a massively strong ending. So then to an ARP 6/4, back to hello, hello, yo. I'm having writing issues. Okay, back to the piano. Let's try this angle this time. Let's also angle the iPad so that I can see it. Ain't technology grand. Okay, entire thing. I am a bad pianist, so my apologies for this not being the most musical of performances, but at least to give you the idea of the pitches. That would be much prettier. Okay, don't rewrite it. Just play it. Okay, I couldn't help adding a little bit of just like start and stop flavor because that's how piano playing is fun for me. Okay, so I think we can agree that that's a cluster chord. So I think we can agree this is actually a very, very, very simple analysis, and makes sense considering the type of form that we're in with a Baroque dance form. They weren't designed to be a massively in-your-face kind of composition. So I hope you enjoyed your whatever today's date is analysis. What's Tuesday? Let's go with that. It's Tuesday, sure. And that you'll come back for more. This is going to be one of lots and lots and lots of analysis videos that I'm going to be posting. Awesome. See ya.